the economy back then. I was still just a teenager. I was pretty carefree.
Not only it was Jimmy Carter the worst president of the 20th century, he's the worst former president of the 20th century.
You and I will be in agreement. Yeah. The question is, since you were also an active political reporter back then, size up then and now. It seems like the parallels are just remarkable. We have an unpopular president coming out now who is a lousy on domestic policy. We had Nixon and Ford doing the same sort of things. I remember we're all Keynesians now, said Nixon. Oil problems, and then we have a hopeful president that pulls on our heartstrings. And I see Obama as Jimmy Carter with a tan. What's really different now? How has this changed?
Well, there are remarkable similarities, John. I agree with you. And particularly you see it this way. Here's a guy like Carter, not much political experience. What had Carter? He'd been a state senator for a couple of years and governor of Georgia. Okay, that's fine. And Obama, what, 4 years as a state senator, 4, 5, 6, I don't know what it is, and not even 4 yet, as a U.S. senator.
Actually, somebody sent me an email yesterday. I can't do this if it's right or not, but he said before Obama announced he's running for president, he actually only had 145 days in the Senate, actually in session. So we got 145 days of a record before he announced.
Yeah, but that's not the most important thing. It's not the experience. It is, like Carter, here's a guy, Obama, with a spiel. You know, he's got you could call it his vision. You know, I'm going to bring America together. We're going to have change. We're going to cross the aisle. We're going to get rid of polarization. We're going to unite America. Well, and Jimmy Carter had one. You know, I'll never lie to you. The tax code is an abomination, and I will change that. And you know, it was all this vision, highfalutin vision, that had nothing to do with the agenda that either one was going to push. And in Carter's case, it was pretty much the liberal agenda. In Obama's case, it's totally the liberal agenda. Nothing new about it, just the same old liberal stuff that's been in the cupboard for years, because that's what a Democrat does. So, you know, Obama's attracted a lot of people by his spiel. Carter did. But then when they got to governing, they were stuck with this agenda that doesn't work.
Obama's been called and rated the most liberal senator by the National Journal, which is a pretty reputable, middle-of-the-road publication. Is that a pretty fair evaluation? You watch this much more closely than I do.
He's a standard liberal. I mean, he's John Kerry, he's Pat Leahy, he's any of these liberal senators that we've seen. He's, you know, Joe Biden. They all pretty much have the same voting record, and they believe in the same things. And they want more government. They want higher taxes because they think basically that they know better what to do with a lot of people's money than those people do. And so, you know, they have big plans, and it involves a lot of money, and it involves higher taxes. In foreign policy, they believe in talking.
I get a sense with Carter and with Obama that each one had a certain level of embarrassment with America. Now, John McCain, certainly he's a patriotic guy. America, right or wrong, is kind of the sense I get. But with Obama, I get an actual visceral feeling that he's embarrassed about who we are. Well, when he answered that question at a YouTube debate, would you go and meet with all the tyrants and evil people within the first year of your presidency? Even Hillary was smart enough to say, no, that's ridiculous. I'll certainly have diplomatic relations with them, but I'm not going to go over and go to Iran myself.
Sure.
Obama said, of course I am. I'm going to find out what these people are angry about.
Yeah, well,
is he embarrassed?
Well, he's embarrassed because he thinks America's image in the world is terrible because we've been mean to other countries and we haven't talked to them. And if he can go out there and talk to these people, things will improve and they'll like us. And that was important to Carter. That's important to Obama as well, and a lot of liberals. They want other countries to like us. And what that means is that we can't get tough with them. And so they'd rather talk with them. No, we haven't talked to these people. I mean, the poor Iranians, you know, here we are pressuring them to get rid of their nuclear weapons program. And, you know, can't we just sit down and work this stuff out? I mean, Jimmy Carter believed that, and Obama does as well. John Edwards, when he was running, and he was talking about doing a world Apologize for America tour after he got elected. I don't think Obama's that bad, but he does think there's some apologizing we have to do.
Do a little predictions on running mates for me. Right. I know it's way early, but we'll record this, and if you're right, then you can gloat, and if you're wrong, nobody will remember. So let's start over on the McCain side. What does McCain need? It seems to me that he needs somebody who speaks to conservatives more. Would I be right, or is it just a race right to the middle?
Well, I wouldn't have said that a few months ago, but I think he does now. I mean, he has to run a center-right campaign. But he's not running a center-right campaign. He's running a center campaign and ignoring the right. The right is his base. He does need to, it's important that they are at least minimally enthusiastic about him and will turn out. There are zillions of them. So he has to have them too. He can't just concentrate on the center, which he's going to get anyway, you know, being John McCain and the Maverick and being for campaign finance reform and cap and trade and all these things.
And capping CEO pay, remember, because a good Republican wants to say, here's what you should get paid, and if you get paid too much, we'll outlaw it.
He's actually stronger on that than Obama is. I mean, he would insist that the shareholders have to vote on the CEO's pay.
The shareholders already have the power. If they want to do that, they do that through the board of directors.
I realize that.
You know, this is not a governmental issue.
But he would have that vote be binding. Obama says, well, he'd have the shareholders vote too, but it would only be advisory. Either way, it's a bad idea. So, look, you know, I thought in the beginning that Mitt Romney would be the best running mate. Knows a lot about the economy and so on. But
the guy who socialized health care in Massachusetts knows about the economy. You sure you want to stick with that answer?
You know, if Romney had, well, I'm not sticking with it, but that's not the reason. You know, I think McCain is right now looks like a loser. And
how so? How do you mean?
That he's going to lose to Obama. And I think if we looking at it
today,
it's
a long time.
I know it's a long time.
In political terms, it takes a long time between then and now.
Sure. And you can go back and say, well, let's see. Ronald Reagan was behind at this time. George Bush was behind John Kerry at this time. George Bush's father was way behind Mike Dukakis at this time. So, look, McCain's in the ball game, but look, there is a stronger Democratic trend in this race than there was in those races for sure. So I think he needs to, you know, throw the long ball, go for somebody that people aren't expecting. That's where Bobby Jindal becomes a factor here. And Bobby Jindal has been a governor for only a few months in Louisiana, less than a year. Bobby Jindal is one of the brightest, smartest guys with a resume and experience at least as much as Barack Obama's. And so I think you're not going to be able to say, well, gee, that guy can't be president. I mean, Obama can't say that. So I think Bobby Jindal makes a lot of sense and would excite conservatives without alienating the center. And that's key.
Flip it to the other side. I would very much doubt that Hillary's going to be the running mate here. I don't know what she brings to the voting booth. And should Obama win, she brings herself and Hillary to the White House again. I don't think he wants that. My guess is that's just not going to happen. Am I right?
I can't believe that Obama would pick Hillary Clinton, knowing that if he's elected, you know, right down the hall, you're going to have Bill and Hillary there as co-conspirators for his entire presidency. It just wouldn't work. You know, I mean, you want somebody, a vice president, who is basically subservient to you and not somebody with this huge following around the country. And besides, you know, when you want to pick somebody that half the country already dislikes strongly, like Hillary Clinton.
You could pick me for that.
That doesn't. Well, he could. That might be an improvement, but you'd be a conspirator too against him. But so that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I think with Obama, he just needs,
what's his best choice?
I think his best choice is somebody like Ed Rendell, just a governor that'll win Pennsylvania, a state he has to win, and not try to do. I don't think he needs to pick somebody with more foreign policy experience. I mean, he's got to sell himself as a commander-in-chief and the guy that knows something about national security and foreign policy. Having Joe Biden in his running mate isn't going to help that. You know, pick a guy that can help out where he really needs help. And that's in a state like Pennsylvania with this big white working class that so far is not lining up behind Obama the way it would a normal Democratic presidential nominee.
I invited you out here to come out and join us for our 6th annual alcohol, tobacco, and firearms party we do every year. We shoot, drink, and smoke. And by the way, how'd you like that whiskey? Which gun did you like the best?
Yeah, I'm afraid I was 0 for 3 on the alcohol, tobacco, and shooting. Should have brought my son. He'd have been 3 for 3.
Yeah. But we loved having you. It's a great time.
It was a great time.
And it's great to hack off the nanniest by showing responsible. See, the difference is you didn't smoke, drink, or shoot, but you didn't mind it if other people did, putting you in the true diversity camp and tolerance camp.
Well, I used to do all 3, but I've given them up, and but I appreciate people doing them. And look, it's hard to believe. Now, I mean, you would never hear people say this, but